Unit 9, Lesson 2.
Women inventors. You will probably find it difficult to name any. Why is this? Weren't women interested in science? The answer is that in the past, women were not allowed to patent their inventions. Until the mid-19th century, anything a woman owned or invented was legally her husband's. For this reason, many female inventors throughout history have been forgotten or ignored, although their inventions are used every day. Although hundreds of important women could be named, here is a brief look at a few. Betty Nesmith Graham. Liquid paper was the invention of Betty Nesmith Graham. In an effort to cover her typing mistakes, she painted over them with a bottle of white paint and a watercolor brush. By 1956, Graham's invention gained so much popularity that 4 years later she sold her company to Gillette for $47.5 million. Grace Murray Hopper. Few people have done as much to change the world as Grace Murray Hopper. In her work with the first computers, she put us on the way to making computers available to everyone. In 1952, she invented the first computer compiler. She was the first person to receive the Computer Sciences Man of the Year Award in 1969.
Unit 9, Lesson 4.
Great little inventions. Most people believe that only a genius can invent, but that's not always true. Many of the tools and products we use in our daily life were invented by ordinary people who were driven by either necessity or need. William Addis, a man from London, had an idea while he was cleaning his teeth with a piece of cloth. He took a small bone, made tiny holes in it, then put small broom bristles in the holes. He started using it whenever he wanted to clean his teeth. Soon he set up a business selling these new toothbrushes and made a fortune. We are all familiar with the sticky little square paper. These are usually used to leave messages and mark places in books. These self-sticking notes were invented in 1968 by a chemist called Art Fry. By 1980, Fry convinced ZM Glue Company to manufacture the pads that he invented. Fry made a fortune through his simple invention. You can be an inventor too. Just keep looking around you for ideas. Remember, all it takes is one good idea. Think about simple things people need or dislike doing, and try to come up with a solution. Your solution may become a useful invention, and who knows, maybe one day you will become a famous inventor.
Unit 10, Lesson 2.
Different customs. Each society has its own customs, beliefs, and behaviors. Communicating in a foreign language is not just a matter of using correct grammar and vocabulary. It is also a matter of understanding other cultures and traditions. We need to understand and respect other customs, no matter how new or strange they may seem. Differences are seen in many aspects of daily life, such as greetings, dining, clothing, ceremonies, and many other things. Here are some customs from different parts of the world. In the Middle East, you must take off your shoes before entering someone's house. In Afghanistan, people spend at least 5 minutes saying hello to each other. In Britain, the weather is usually the topic of conversation between strangers. In Japan, it is a custom to clean the house and water the garden when having a guest. In France, people don't sit down until they have shaken hands with everyone they know. In the USA, it is normal for men to shake hands when they meet, but it is unusual for them to kiss each other. In Germany, few days before the wedding, friends and relatives bring old porcelain to throw on the ground in front of the bride and groom. This is supposed to bring them good luck.
Unit 11. Lesson 2.
David Copperfield. David Copperfield is the story of a boy whose father died 6 months before his birth. At first, David lived happily with his mother and his beloved housekeeper, Peggotty. David's mother married Edward Murdstone, who was very cruel and used to beat David a lot. Once while the stepfather was beating him, David bit his hand. After that, Murdstone sent David to Salem House Academy boarding school, where he hardly received any education. At the school, David became friends with Tommy Traddles and James Steerforth. Due to the cruelty of the Murdstones, David's mother and her newborn baby died. After the funeral, Murdstone decided to send David to London to work in his warehouse. In London, David lived comfortably with Wilkins and Emma Micawber. During his stay, David remembered that his mother had talked about an aunt who lived near Dover. One day, David decided to go to his aunt, so he walked from London to his aunt's cottage in Dover. After meeting David, Aunt Betsy adopted David and sent him to Dr. Strong's school, one of the best schools in Canterbury. There he received a good education and lived with Mr. Wickfield and his daughter Agnes. After finishing school, David left Canterbury for London and decided that he wanted to become a lawyer. He trained at Mr. Spenlow's office, where he met Spenlow's beautiful daughter, Dora. David married Dora, but a few years later she died. Soon after, David met his school friends again, but after a series of events, his friend Steerforth drowned. Driven by sadness, David left to Switzerland, hoping to find comfort in the wild beauty of the Alps. While living there, Copperfield worked on his book and sent it to Traddles, who published it. 3 years later, David Copperfield decided to go back to England. He married Agnes and later became a successful novelist.